called her and I was just like, what is going on? I'm coming to get the kids one way or another. Like, you're not going to keep me from getting my kids.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of Daddy Issues. Today we got on Colton, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his story.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? To be honest, kind of weird to start talking about this stuff anymore. It started off really, really good, and it just kind of spiraled after about 3 years. I've been in the Army, for the last 5 years. We got together right after I got back home from Korea in 2020. Things was great. We got our first place together in Colorado, just living life, man. And we started talking about having kids, and we started trying for our first one. And then we found out that it was very difficult for her to have a kid, so we went through all the channels of, fertility treatments and different things and remedies or whatever the doctor was telling us to try, and finally we ended up having our first oldest child.
How old were you when that happened? You look pretty young.
Yeah, I'm only 24, man.
24, you're already looking at ways to, conceive.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
So backstory to all that is I grew up very quickly. I've been through a lot of shit, so it's kind of forced me to mentally grow up a lot faster than your normal person.
Right.
Prior to the Army, I lost a lot of friends as far as like suicide,
Damn.
stuff like that. And then I was on the fire department for about 2 years, so I've seen a lot of crazy crap there. So that played a big role in my life. So yeah, I was just before I turned 21, we was talking about having our first child, and then he wasn't born until after I was 21. I was going on 22. He was born in August. I turned 22 in September. Yeah, pretty young to anybody else kind of looking in,
Yeah, it's like I had my first child at 22, but I wasn't expecting it, so it was a shock to me.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
right. Yeah, no, it's for a planned child. That's pretty young to start out with,
Yeah.
but that's been the dream of mine is to start a family and settle down, and
Yeah.
I had it for a while, and it was great. And then things just kind of, I guess, got stagnant or however you want to say it. I don't know. But, yeah, no, fast forward a year later after he was born, we were still in Colorado. I was getting ready to go on deployment to Poland. And come to find out she was pregnant with our second child. And it was kind of one of those whoops type things.
Right, and that was natural, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And it was crazy, man. It was hell on wheels for sure. Our oldest child ended up being born with a heart condition.
Oh.
So he had what they call AVSD. I don't know, do you know what that is?
No.
So essentially he was born completely missing a heart valve.
Wow.
And it had a hole in the center of his heart. So he had open heart surgery about 3 months old. So that threw a massive wrench in things.
Yeah.
Right. At that point when we were finding out about all that and saying how he was, getting ready to come up on surgery pretty quick because he was starting to go downhill with like his breathing and, all his major bodily functions. I was coming up on my window to get out, and be done with the Army and go home. But I ended up re-enlisting to keep that insurance.
True.
To be able to help pay for surgeries and stuff like that, man. Because that was $2.5 million that I didn't have to pay.
Hey guys, just want to let you know, head on over to patreon.com under Daddy Issues The Truth to help support the podcast and support what we're doing. That's patreon.com under Daddy Issues The Truth. You get a little bit more content over there, stuff that we don't post anywhere else. So if you guys are about it and you want to help support, patreon.com, Daddy Issues The Truth. Thanks, guys.
Yep. So that was kind of the no-brainer right there, but that put a massive strain on my relationship.
Now, was that because you had to be deployed and you were away for so long, or?
So I was physically there for the surgery.
Yeah.
Um, I was gone for 90% of the pregnancy with our second child.
Yeah.
And I think that's where she resented me the most. And like in the back of her head, I think she knows like it's not my fault, like that you got to do what you got to do.
Right. You couldn't have made a better decision. Where are you going to come up with $2 million to pay for all that stuff? You couldn't have made a smarter decision to do that. So that sucks that she took it the wrong way like that.
And it put a strain on us, because I think she resented me a bit just because the fact is that I was in another country. I wasn't there to help with our oldest at the time while she was pregnant with our youngest, and all these things just piled up. And I don't blame her for that, because any person's going to have some sort of resentment or feeling type of way towards a situation kind of like that. You got a newborn into early, 5-6 months old, and you're dealing with being pregnant on the other end. You know
but
what
it's
I mean?
so tough. It's like you're providing. You know what I mean? You don't have the choice. You
yeah.
can't tell the Army like, no, I'm gonna hang back for a little bit. And you know what I mean? They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So
no, they don't
sucks.
care at all. My ass will go to jail real quick.
Right.
But no, man, like I got back from Poland. I came back early actually because I was scheduled to come down to Texas, which is where I'm at right now. So I ended up leaving Poland after about 4 months. I was only there for 4 months out of like the 9 to 12 months that my guys were scheduled to be out there. Came back, packed up the house, moved down to Texas. Fresh start, right? Things were going well. She got a few odds and ends jobs here and there, and I completely left the decision up to her.
Yeah.
Of whether she wanted to work or not. And some people might feel some type of way with what I'm about to say, but that's just how I was kind of brought up, was like, if the woman of the house wants to work, cool. By all means, go work.
Yeah. I mean, even for her to stay distracted, you know what I mean?
Anything, right? You want to go make some money to go do whatever you want to do with, by all means, do what you want to do. But if you choose to stay home, I expect kind of the stay-at-home mom wife things to kind of be done while I'm out 12-hour days. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%.
Like, and I thought that was reasonable.
Yeah.
And it started off strong, and then it just slowly dwindled.
Yeah.
So, and we'd always have our little nitpicking fights and stuff like that, just the small stuff. And I think over time it just started building up even more.
Mm-hmm.
And it came up to a time where I was supposed to go out to the field for 2 weeks, and I was already fighting with my chain of command about it because my oldest was starting to have little spells where he's starting to turn blue, so he was potentially talking about another surgery.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of stuff going on all at once, right? And I was in my chain of command's office quite a bit at that time. Just because they're trying to figure out what's going on and they're not agreeing with what's going on, and I'm trying to show them, hey, this is black and white what has happened.
Yeah.
This is what can happen. Like all the possibilities from, A to Z. And they still weren't grasping the concept. And finally, I had enough, man. I blew my lid off, and I was done, which is the wrong thing to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm 100% in the wrong for that, right? But at the same time, a person's only gonna take so much before they just snap.
Yeah.
And so that happened on a Thursday. I forget the actual date, but this was in last July. right? I came home that day fuming. I was pissed as can be.
Yeah.
I came in, I didn't say a word to nobody. She was sitting on the couch, didn't say anything. Kids were playing, didn't say nothing. I went straight to the shower, took a shower, took 15 minutes to myself, got out, came out, sat on the couch, and we were there for probably about 10 minutes, just kind of having small talk. And then she's like, "So we got to talk about something."
Oh,
I'm like,
after the work stuff, and then you get hit with the "we gotta talk."
yeah, man,
Damn.
that was like the worst possible time. And so I sat down and I was like, "Okay, like what's going on?" She's just like, "I need some time to think about shit." And I'm like, "About what?" And she's like, "I don't know, just everything that's going on." And I'm like, "Okay, like, okay, so how do you want to go about this, right?" Because she's being very vague.
Right.
And so I asked her, I was like, "How do you want to go about this?" She's like, "Well, I'm gonna go stay at Haley and Daniel's house." We're gonna call him Haley and Daniel, right?
Yeah.
And mind you, I worked with one of those individuals. Like they were one of my people at work.
Yeah.
So we were all kind of friends. So she took off. I told her, she's like, "It's only gonna be a couple days." So I told her, I was like, "Take the kids. You were not able to handle being away from the kids as long as I have." Excuse me. So I told her, I was like, "Just take the boys. I'll be okay for a couple days. Figure out what you got to do." That Friday comes around. I talked to her briefly, see the kids, so on and so forth, and I left. Saturday, I'm like, "I'm coming to pick up the kids," and I don't know what happened or what the case was, but we had got into it pretty bad over the phone, right? And she was refusing to let me come get the kids. She was like, "I'm not letting you in the house. You're not coming to get the kids. If you do, I'm calling the cops, yada, yada, yada."
Jeez.
I'm like, "Holy shit." We went from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
right? And meanwhile, I'm in my truck driving over to get the kids when she's blowing my stuff up saying this. So I pull over into a parking lot and I finally,
I called her and I was just like, what is going on? I'm coming to get the kids one way or another. Like, you're not going to keep me from getting my kids.
and she's like, "Well, I wasn't trying to have this talk right away, but I guess we just can get it out the way, right?" So I continue on over to the house. We sit down on the porch. Kids are inside playing. I shit you not, dude. Not even 5 minutes of sitting on the porch. It's dead silent for about 5 minutes, right? She hits me with, "I want a divorce."
Wow. So I mean, the shitty thing is too, like she was thinking about this. She obviously planned it for a while.
Oh man, she's been planning it for
Yeah.
months. Because there's little trails to this story that I
Yeah.
can go down that just you can see how she has been planning it, right?
Yeah.
Because not gonna lie to you, man, like I used to have a really nice truck. 2011 F-150 Lariat package, like the whole night, sunroof, heated and cooled seats, the whole night. I put about $3,000 into performance parts in that thing as well, right? Really beautiful truck. Still paying on it. While she was being stay-at-home mom, I'm working. So I'm like, she's helping with all the bills and stuff with my paycheck and has like the accounts to be able to do so.
And wasn't paying the truck.
Nope.
Oh
Or the rent.
my God.
Or the rent.
Jesus.
Wasn't paying the rent. Wasn't paying our truck. It was just kind of like stacking money back, planning to leave.
Oh, she was taking the money. Wow. Holy shit.
Yep. So that all transpired. Truck got repoed. After she left, I finally seen the notices on the door for the rent
Right.
because she'd been hiding the notices. At least I think she was. I don't know. I didn't see any of them,
Right. Right.
so I have no idea. But either way, I was in a spot to where I had within like, was it like 20 days, 10
Oh
days,
my
something like
God.
that. Yeah, I was on a crunch time. And
Yeah.
mind you, I had just gotten home from being out in the field for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was out away from civilization, field, sweating my ass off for 2 weeks. Just got home, and then, bam.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
it's wild.
did you guys have to go to court and deal with the kids, or how did that work?
No, so our co-parenting relationship right now is actually in a lot better spot, and I think a lot of people would say I'm being too nice. I guess you could say, I don't know, but we're trying to do everything outside of court just to prevent from dragging them through the process,
Yep.
because it's long, it's drawn out, it's expensive, and it's a scarring memory for them kids.
100%. Yeah.
So we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. So as far as custody goes, we're in agreement with like 50-50 as best as we possibly can. Don't need to get any attorneys, court, nothing of that. We'll figure it out on our own.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the divorce side goes, it is still yet to be finalized, and I'll tell you why. She wanted it. She was going to pay for it. That was my thing for her.
Yeah.
You want this divorce, you are going to pay the filing costs and everything that comes with it. And she said, okay. Well, then a month goes by. We have a talk. She's like, I can't afford the whole thing. Can we split it in half? Okay, cool. She lies to me and tells me it's $700 just to file the paperwork.
To cover her half
Right.
as well. Yeah.
So I sent her $350 because she called me when I was at work saying that she was on the way to the courthouse to go pay this filing cost. So I sent her $350. Nothing happened. She took that money and used it on her bills.
Oh, she didn't even file for the paperwork. Holy shit.
No.
Oh my
No,
God.
because I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, just waiting for a call, waiting for
Right.
somebody to show up at my door, serve me papers, whatever the process that she chose to do. And months go by. We're talking like 5, 6, 7 months later. And I'm on the phone with my dad talking about it, and he's like, are you sure she even filed anything?
Right.
I'm like, no. That's all, no. And he's like, you need to call up there and see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So I called up to the courthouse in our county here, and I'm like, hey, do you got any type of paperwork or anything in your system with my name on it? And they're like, no, there's nothing in the system. I'm like, cool. Thanks.
Yeah,
So
what'd you
I
say to her?
Oh, man.
Oh,
I tried to keep my cool as best I possibly could
yeah.
because I can get a little heated very quickly, and then especially if it's something that really pisses me off,
Right.
I get tunnel vision, man, and then it's.
But here's the hard part is like she's taking advantage. You're being nice, but I don't think you're being overly nice. I think you're doing what you should be doing, and she's taking full advantage of that and just keeps screwing you over. And
Yeah.
I mean I would have fucking lost my mind too. I'd been what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, man, it's just wild, and we'll get to the part where you're gonna say I'm being too nice. Anyway, I had a conversation with her about that, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why? And she's like, well, I had my other bills that had to come up that came up before this, and I figured I'd just get the money back in, with my next paycheck and pay it. And I'm like, okay. Right. So anyway, dropped that, continued on. I told her, I'm like, you're not handling shit no more.
Right.
I will do it. That way I know it's getting paid, I know it's getting filed, and it's done. Right? So I went and dropped another $350 because that was the complete cost of it. Was $350.
Yeah,
It
that makes
wasn't no
sense.
fucking $700.
Yeah.
So yeah, went and paid the extra $350 again. Got it filed finally, and now we got to a point to where I am coming up on getting out of the Army. They are chaptering me out because of a family care plan. Because she refused to let me put my parents down on my care plan for if I go on deployments and stuff, right? Because I'm originally from Illinois,
Yeah.
right? So it's about 14 hours, I think, from Texas. And so she's like, I'm not gonna be away from my kids that long. And I'm sitting here like, motherfucker, I have the majority of the time anyway.
Wow.
What's it gonna hurt? They're with family. I'm in another country. You can go see them if you want to.
Yeah.
It's that easy. But because she refused up and down to let me put them on there, they're kicking me out because I have nobody to cover my kids to be able to fill my obligation to the military.
Yep.
Which, in hindsight is kind of a blessing and a curse because, I'm gonna be losing the great insurance that comes with it.
Right.
Consistent paycheck, all the safety nets of being, government.
Yeah.
But the good thing is like I get to spend more time with my kids.
Right.
I get to go home around family, have that extra help, the extra hands to help out when needed, and so on. But yeah, she just was like refusing up and down to let me do it, and now I'm paying the consequences for what she refuses to do.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
And so let's fast forward a little bit longer. Like, okay, well, you gotta start getting your stuff ready to turn in all your gear, and till you're coming up on your packet. They make a packet for you where you getting kicked out. All the big guys and higher ranking people got to sign on it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, you got to start getting your stuff ready to turn in because your packet's almost done. Everybody's almost signed off on it. I'm like, okay, cool. My 90% of my stuff was in a storage unit, right, that we had set up together. I didn't realize she put her name on the account, but marked it as if she was in the military so that there was no late fees or they couldn't auction it off.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get into the storage unit and I can't get in because I'm just an authorized user and I can only access it when it's paid up in full.
Yeah.
All right. So come to find out, I just got access to this thing like 3 days ago. And come to find out, she was way behind on that too.
Yeah.
I had paid $2,400
just to catch back up,
just to pay it off.
Wow.
To be able to get my stuff out.
Damn.
Just to be able to get my stuff out, I had to pay $2,400 into that storage unit. But it's better than the alternative because it was going to be about $7,000 to pay back the Army for all the equipment.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you had to give that stuff back.
Yeah. When you leave, you got oh man, excuse me. You got to turn it all in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things that you can you get to keep, like your clothing items, some stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then if you pay for it, if you really want to keep it that bad, you can pay for it and keep it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was way better than the alternative of paying the $7,000 what it was to, pay off the Army. So I ended up paying that off, and we get to a point to where she's now lost her job, lost her house, was living with said friend she moved into when this whole thing started.
I know exactly where this is going already. This is the part.
Yeah. And found black mold in their house. And so she hit me up, and she's like, I can't have the kids here. You're like, yeah, you're right, you can't. Especially with our oldest heart condition, like they are
Yeah,
not
that's true.
supposed to be in there at all, right? So it would go about 2 weeks, me having the kids 100% of the time. And then it comes time for her to hit me up again, and it was like, I need a place to stay. They're buying a house.
Wow. Yep.
So now I have her on my couch until we move in about 2 weeks.
And you're moving together?
But yeah, man, no, I'm getting out and moving back home, and she's from the same area. So on my couch until then, and we're gonna kind of convoy back because I have to rent a 26-foot U-Haul to fit all my stuff and her stuff in there. So I'm
Yeah.
moving her stuff for her.
Yeah. Yeah, you are too nice.
So
Yeah.
while she's driving behind me with the kids, because you can't put the kids in the U-Haul, you know.
Right.
So I'm towing my truck, my car, U-Haul. She's gonna be following me in her car that I gave her.
Yeah. I mean, is there a part of you that wants her back? Or, I mean,
To be honest with you, man, like no,
yeah,
no,
okay.
I don't. And the reasoning behind that is because of all the things I found out
Yeah.
once we split. It's done.
Yeah.
You know, there's no coming back from that
Yeah, it's
whatsoever.
from me looking in after hearing that story, it's like, I mean, as much as I want to say like, oh wow, you are being too nice. At the end of the day, though, it's only going to be beneficial for your two kids when they see both parents getting along. Even if you guys aren't together, but you're living in the same house, you know what I mean? Like there's some sort
Oh,
of
absolutely. There's still some sort of like, you know, careness there, I guess you
hmm
could say. You know, like we still care about each other, like,
yeah,
and we want to get to a point in, you know, this relationship now where we have, you know, stable ground, and you know the boys can look at us like we still care about each other, like we're still good
yeah,
friends, whatever, right? Because I don't want to put my kids through some of these situations where you see these divorces happen, and it's just like cut with a knife, man. Like
oh yeah, for
you know what I
years.
mean? Like
Yeah,
sometimes for the whole time,
yeah,
you
yep,
know, it never changes,
yep,
and I don't want my kids to have to go through that. So we're doing what we can to keep our bullshit aside, away from them. You know, like if we got
yeah,
something to hash out, we wait until they're in bed or
yeah,
until they're
yeah,
they're at daycare or anything else to where we can hash it out without them being there to see it or hear it, to help preserve that image.
yeah. See, now I think you're doing the right thing. Are you so? But you guys still aren't officially divorced yet, right?
Nope.
Okay. Have
Uh,
either one of you had other relationships with anyone else, or not? Not yet.
uh yes and no. We'll put it this way. She went ham.
Yeah.
She went crazy. She went buck wild. And just to piss her off and be kind of petty, I went home and ruined the friendship. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Ruined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. So that happened, and me and that said friend are still kind of talking ish. More along the lines of just waiting until kind of things slow down and like are finalized, and I'm back home, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but besides that, man, like I'm just trying to focus on myself and my kids, and you know, try and get everything I need to get done finished up.
Yeah.
So, and then anything else is, you know, it just more on my plate that I don't need at the moment. So, but her, I give a shit less what she does.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, keeping that. I mean, if you want to call it a friendship or whatever it is, I mean, I think you're doing the right thing. I actually don't think you're being too nice by doing that. you're keeping the family together. You're keeping everyone still, somewhat happy and getting along. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, man. And it's tough.
Yeah.
Some people can't do it. They have too much hate and too much, shit going on that they just can't handle it.
Either the other, they just can't even put their pride aside.
Right.
So it's like I've seen cases where it's a pride thing. They're like, no, I'm done. It's not going to change my mind. We're not going to be friends. That's the end of the story. Put your ego, put your pride away, and do it for the kids. Like,
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters is your kids.
Yep. Yeah, it really is too. I mean, I went through this for probably about 8 years now, and I mean, my kids were so messed up from it, and now me and my ex are getting along and like talking, and we can be in the same room together. But 8 years, and my kids are fucked up from it. So yeah, you're definitely doing the right thing by just getting it out of the way now, and being on good terms. So
yeah, it's don't get me wrong, man. It was a long, bumpy road to get here for the last year, like because this just has been pretty recent, like the last couple of months. But over the last year since she split, it was very toxic. Yeah. Very, very toxic. Anytime we were around each other to drop off the kids, we were just throwing shots at each other. Like it was just, it was bad. Blasting me on social media, the whole nine. So, yeah, it was bad. But no, we're in a better place right now. So let's see if we can keep that train rolling.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, dude, I appreciate your time. First of all, thank you for your service, and I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the podcast.
Of course, man. Anytime. I got plenty more stories.
Awesome. Yeah, man, we'll have to do some updates.
For sure.
Yo, I don't want to keep hitting you guys with it, but please come support over on patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. It would mean a lot. We really put a lot of work into this podcast, so if you guys have time and you guys like the content that you're getting, it would be a huge help if you guys could support us over on patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. All right. Thank you, guys.
Me down. You can hold me down. You can hold me down. You can hold me down.